panliligaw, love languages, pagtataksil, at pagbangon mula sa pait ng pag-ibig. Sa huling linggo sa buwan ng mga puso, tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang ating talakayang pag-ibig kasama ang relationship expert na si Alicia Therese Serrano. At kasama niyo pa rin sa pagsiyasat ng kasagutan mula mismo sa mga eksperto. Ako po, si Arnold Herrera. At ito, ang Expert's Opinion. Coach, let's talk about love languages. Tulad naman na napag-usapan na rin natin ang dating. Kapag po ba ikaw ay manliligaw sa isang tao, dapat ba base ito sa iyong sariling love language o sa love language nung recipient, which is yung nililigawan?
Dapat marunong kang manindigan eh. Dapat marunong kang magkaroon ka ng paninindigan. Katulad ko, galing ako sa 8 years akong single talaga.
Love language ko po yung physical touch po. Kasi gusto ko po yung nahawakan po ako. Yun po.
Physical din po sa akin kasi touch deprived.
Ako lang siguro nag-iiba. Kakaiba, pero act of service since yun yung kinalakihan ko.
Ay, oo. Bukod sa pagmamahal, busog pa sa pagkain. Biro mo kung 3 times a day, siya ata 6 times a day kumakain. Oo. Di ba? Pagmamahal na, busog pa. Kung puro pagmamahal, hindi busog, mag-aaway kayo. Diba? Hindi naman ba? Pagmamahal, syempre, kailangan din yung pangangailangan din naming dalawa, pagkain, at saka syempre pag-aalaga sa mga bata.
I guess yung equal. We're equal. I show my love. I give you time. You give me time as well. Tapos, parang you're always there whenever I need you, and I'm always there. I always have your back, and you'll always have my back.
So, interesting to, no? Kasi, so yung background ko rin, I am a student ito ng psych, so I also do research, but not necessarily about relationships. So, yung research behind sa love language, actually, medyo mixed siya. So, may pagka-popular psychology siya, meaning, popular siya, pero yung evidence for it ay hindi gaano ka-solid as it sounds. Pero, helpful construct pa rin siya. So, I think it's still something na magsistay sa mga tao kasi it's a way for people to talk about relationships na madaling intindihin. So, I don't want to discount it. So, sa question naman na yun na kung magko-court ka, is it your own language or your partner's? I think ideal yung mix ng both. Kasi hindi natin kaya magbago ng ganun kabilis. So, hindi rin realistic na, okay, gagamit, like, love language lang ng partner ko. Kasi mawawala rin naman yung sense of identity mo. Na hindi rin naman yun healthy, no? So, I think being able to show your partner na, ganito ako mag-express ng love. Tapos, naiintindihan ko rin na ito yung gusto mo, ito yung love language mo. I think being able to meet in the middle is the ideal situation. Pero, kailangan doon ay communication. Hindi yung, kunyari, acts of service person ka. Tapos, yung partner mo ay words of affirmation. Tapos, di kayo nag-uusap tungkol doon. Tapos, hindi nagkakaintindihan. So, nagkakaroon ng lost in translation issues when pag nakafocus lang sa either sa sarili mo na love language or sa partner mo. So, I think being able to first and foremost tell your partner na ganito ako mag-express ng love. Ganito yung na-enjoy kong way na magpakita ng love towards sa akin. I think being able to explain that to your partner and to have a conversation about it is really important para may healthy mix. So, I think yun yung important. So, not just focusing on one is healthy.
Yes. Kumbaga, communication and compromise is key sa isang matagumpay na relationship. Kasi tulad nga nabanggit nyo kanina, maganda yung part na binanggit nyo na kumbaga, we need to retain our identity. Hindi pwedeng sa pagbibigay natin ng pagmamahal sa ibang tao, tayo naman yung mawala, tayo naman yung maubos. And for sure, nakaka-relate dyan yung marami sa mga manonood natin na binibigay ko naman lahat. para sa partner ko, pero bakit parang nauubos na ako at parang hindi niya na-appreciate. Kasi, kumbaga, doon siguro pumapasok yung part ng love languages na hindi nagmamatch o hindi napapag-usapan kung paano yung dapat or appropriate way sa inyong relationship para mag-express kayo ng pagmamahal sa isa't isa. Ito naman curious ako, Coach Alicia, talking about love languages. Paano po ba ito nade-develop? Ito po ba ay nade-develop dahil sa environment na kinalakihan niya, dahil sa mga klase ng pagmamahal na pinapakita ng mga taong nakapaligid sa kanya, o yung mga bagay na pagkukulang niya nung lumaki siya?
Okay, so interesting question. Yun, no, Arnold. I think, again, moving outside of just the love languages na construct, I think more on yung needs sa relationships. Kasi love languages, they're a method of saying your needs and your wants. Kaya siya nagiging helpful. So, pag pinapag-usapan na natin kung paano pa nade-develop yung mga gusto ng mga tao sa relationships, it's a mix of kung saan tayo nasanay at kung ano yung kailangan pa natin. So, for example, kung lumaki ka sa family na malaki sa gifts, kung walang gift yung partner mo, baka iba yung dating sa'yo. Or the other way around, kung hindi kayo nagbibigay ng gift sa family, baka hindi rin yung nagiging important sa'yo. So, isa yun sa mga learned behaviors natin. Kasi as people, we learn from our environment kung ano ba dapat yung ginagawa. So, kung nakikita mo yung parents mo na laging magkasama or laging nag-uusap, yun yung expectations na yun ng person usually kasi yun yung nakikita. So, part of it is learned behavior, learned expectations, and part of it can be what we naturally are inclined to or kung ano ba yung soothing para sa atin. So, for example, kung importante pala yung communication or words of affirmation sa isang tao tapos hindi nag-uusap-usap sa bahay, lalabas at lalabas pa rin yun kahit hindi siya learned behavior. So, I think it is a mix of what we're used to at kung ano ba yung siguro kulang or gusto pa natin.
Kumbaga katulad din kanina, no? Kumbaga compromise, kailangan nagmi-meet in the middle yung mga pangangailangan natin at yung mga gusto nating ibigay sa ibang tao. Curious din ako sa question na to. Especially dito, babalikan din natin yung kultura ng mga Pilipino na very traditional tayo. Balikan lang po natin. So, as a relationship coach, is it acceptable for a woman to make the first move in a relationship?
Kung sa 100% 5% may nangyayaring ganun. Pero mas magandang magpa-first move talaga lalaki. Maliligaw talaga lalaki. Hindi na uso yung torpe ngayon. Sa panahon ngayon, torpe ka. Wala ka. Wala. Hindi ka, magiging mahabang buhay kang talunan o single ka.
For me po, ayoko po. Gusto ko po, ako po yung nililigawan, hindi po ako.
For me, okay lang kasi hindi naman lahat ng tao may gusto sa akin. So, I have to take the initiative.
I think yun na rin po. Okay lang din po sa akin. Same lang kami nasagot.
Nangyayari man, pero hindi ako payag sa ganun. Siyempre, kailangan talaga ang lalaki, ang akit ang ligaw, hindi nga pwedeng sa kalye-kalye lang. Dapat umakat sila ng ligaw, hindi yung babae. Pero ngayon, babae na talaga nanliligaw. Ay na naman tayo. Babae na kailan nanliligaw. Pag-crush nila, sila na nagbibigay ng motibo. Di ba?
First, I think, medyo weird kasi it's out of the social norms. I'm open into it. As long as we'll understand each other and what we're doing.
I think so, 100%. I think isa to sa malalaking roadblocks sa dating culture sa Pilipinas and generally internationally rin. A lot more people are traditional, actually, more than we would assume. So, madaming mga unhappy single women ay nandun sa situation na yun dahil takot sila mag-first move. So, I think kailangan ma-empower yung mga babae na kung may gusto sila, gumawa ng paraan at makuha yung gusto nila. Kasi madami rin namang mga lalaki or whichever partner they would prefer, no, na yun nga, mas nahihiya rin. Hindi lahat ng tao ay magaling mag-first move in general. So that goes for men, that goes for women. So I think kung may gusto kang mangyari, pinaka-reliable pa rin ay kung ikaw mismo gagawa nun. Rather than hope and pray and dream na may gagawin yung isang tao. So, for sure, acceptable na mag-first move yung woman. But also, I think kailangan yan mag-reflect kung ano ba yung values ng person, no? Kasi kung mag-first move ka but you're highly traditional, tapos yung hanap mo sa partner ay laging nagde-take ng initiative, baka hindi in alignment rin yun. So, I think it's good, but I think it also, what needs to come with that would be managing expectations yan sa taong i-pursue ng kung sino man mag-first move.
Kumbaga, parang ang napapansin ko ditong trend sa ating usapan, no, Coach, is bumabalik tayo sa idea ng compromise. Kailangan talaga parang nakukonsulta yung magkabilang side. Kailangan nakukonsider yung mga expectations, yung mga considerations from the other party para sa magiging flow ng isang relationship. And sana dito sa Pilipinas, and I think, I'm not sure kung nangyayari na ba, pero I think medyo mahirap pa or medyo malabo pa na mangyari na ang babae ang magfa-first move. I think kasi parang umiiral pa rin yung kumbaga yung culture or yung mindset na lalaki pa rin talaga ang unang gagalaw sa isang relationship. And I think that's sad.
I think that is still very common, no? Pero nagbabago rin naman. So for example, we talked about dating apps kanina. So sa Bumble, babae talaga mag-first move doon. So I think in a way, nata-train na yung mga tao or mga women na, okay, baka kailangan tayo nga yung gagalaw para mangyari to. So I think may nagbabago na sa area na yun. I'm hoping na pati rin sa ibang generations now, people who are not using apps, ay ma-explore yun kahit papano. I think when we're talking about, for example, queer relationships and queer populations, I think yung traditional values of kung sino ba mag-first move, medyo nag-iiba rin dun. So, yeah, I think things are changing a little bit, but of course, mas predominant pa rin yung traditional na yung guy, yung nag-first move. But again, not the most reliable when it comes to satisfactory relationships.
Ayan, tulad kanina na pag-usapan na natin yung mga bagay-bagay sa isang relationship, yung mga masasaya, mga magagandang bagay. Pero syempre, sa isang relationship, hindi naman lahat talaga cloud9, hindi palaging rainbows and sunshines. Dadating tayo sa part na magkakasakitan tayo. So, people say that healing isn't linear. May mga panahon na yung mga tao nagre-relapse at bumabalik sa kanilang old patterns. Ano po yung thought process nyo kapag may isang taong lumalapit sa inyo for emotional healing? Saan po ba kayo nagsisimula?
Nagsisimula ako usually sa kung ano nangyayari in the present. So beginning with the current experience ng client. Are they severely distressed? Sobrang anxious pa nila? Sobrang sad pa nila? Kasi hindi rin helpful na puwersahin sila na gawan ng paraan kung ano man yung problem nila kung hindi pa sila ready, kung may current emotional concern na kailangan i-process mo. So dun muna, no? Para mas mapunta sa baseline yung client kung pupunta sa akin. So identifying kung ano ba yung kailangan nila, ano ba yung goal nila, ano ba yung ginagawa nila ngayon, ano ba yung pwede pa nilang gawin. Yun yung usual na nangyayari pag pinaprocess yung emotional healing. Tapos kung ready na yung client, edi getting more information would be the next step para makita kung ano ba yung goal nila, kung ano ba yung mga circumstances na kailangan namin i-tackle. So, ganun usually yung process. So, the present situation, handling that, then getting more information so we know where to go, pati ano yung mga steps na kailangan mangyari. Pero very important talaga na i-assess yung current status ng person. Kasi kunyari kung gusto magkaroon ng partner, pero currently sobrang baba ng self-esteem or sobrang anxious, kailangan talaga i-tackle yun muna bago yung ibang steps.
Recently, nagbukas itong Love Month, itong February, sa mga serye ng di umanay cheating incident sa social media. And I'm pretty sure, siguro dumaan na rin ito sa newsfeed mo, Coach, mula sa Marilag issue hanggang kina Andy Eigenman and Filmer Alipayo. Ano po yung thoughts nyo dito? Did something change about the Filipino relationship dynamics na naging rampant ang cheating sa ating society? Or baka naman kasi dahil mas laganap lang yung social media kaya nakikita natin ng mabilisan yung mga panloloko ng mga partners natin. Thoughts on this?
Right, I think you're spot on sa mas kita lang siya ngayon. Kasi for me, and professionally and also just personally, cheating has always been rampant sa Pilipinas, which is a big problem relationally, But now it's a lot easier to catch someone when they're doing it kasi may digital footprint na tayo na dati naman wala. So I think isa yun sa changes na meron ngayon. But I think people cheat as much as they've cheated before. Mas madali, as you mentioned, mas kita lang kasi people post, lalo na pag public figure ka, high profile. I think isa rin sa relating to celebrity incidents in relationships. Malaki na rin yung stan culture. So kung celebrity ka, you probably have fans, they probably have forums about you online. So mas mahirap itago yung mga steps na ganyan because people are following what people are doing. So mas I guess mas madali lang ma-access yung information. At mas madali ring napopost yung information by the people involved. So people are less careful, I think. Or rather, mas madaming options where people can slip up compared to before. But I think as a behavior, cheating has always been popular as a problem.
As a professional na talagang almost 5 years nang nakikipag-engage sa iba't ibang clients, can a relationship really recover from cheating? Nakakabangon pa po ba ang isang relasyon na dumaan sa isang cheating incident?
That's a really good question, Arnold. And truthfully, rarely they do. So usually, medyo nagiging death sentence sa relationship yung cheating. Pero kung interested naman yung parties involved na trabahuin talaga, kaya naman. Pero kailangan talaga intentional yung couple when it comes to working on it together. Usually, nakikita ko na either sobrang sorry nung partner na nag-cheat, tapos siya yung mas nag-hard carry ng trabaho, or may isang tao na siya yung naging victim of cheating kasi siya yung gusto makipag-stay together. Usually, pag isang tao lang talaga yung gusto mag-maintain ng relationship, that doesn't work. So, kailangan both parties or everyone involved are in the same headspace of making it work. Tapos kailangan talaga active, very proactive yung changes, yung pag-strengthen at pag-repair ng relationship. But honestly, mas common sa practice ko na it's really about moving on and kind of making as many repairs as the other person can rather than making the relationship work talaga. Like, a lot of people just don't really recover from it.
Yes.
Because usually when cheating happens, either one of them is checked out na. Yun naman talaga yung nangyayari. So it's a case-by-case basis on why people cheat, but only when people are very committed to making it work and on repairing it mutually, tsaka lang talaga siya nakaka-recover. But anything other than that, I don't see it working out.
Yes, I agree dun sa sinabi mo, Coach, na for some and for I can say for many, it is a death sentence to their relationship kapag dumaan sa cheating. Kasi, kumbaga, parang kahit nakikita din natin sa mga stories and rants ng mga tao sa social media, lagi nilang sinasabi na choose your inner peace. Kasi parang anytime pwede kang atakihin ng overthinking, nasan na kaya yung jowa ko, nasan na yung partner ko, baka may kasama na namang ibang tao, baka may kasama na naman sa trabaho, may kinikita na naman na hindi ko nalalaman. So parang just to keep your inner peace, let's just end it once and for all. So talagang it takes two to tango. Kung committed talaga kayong
for
dalawa
sure.
para ayusin ang isang relationship,
Oo.
pwede pa namang
Oo,
maayos.
definitely. And you can't do your partner's work for you. Hindi, you can take as many sessions working with a coach like me or with a counselor, with a therapist. Pero kung yung partner mo yung ayaw magbago, hindi talaga yun it's not gonna bring back the relationship. And ultimately, pag nag-cheat na yung tao, there's no going back to before the cheating happened. There's only after it happened and accepting that and then rebuilding what you can after the incident talaga.
Ito naman, mainit-init na tanong mula sa ating mga, for sure, sa ating mga audience at maraming nanonood sa atin. Is sex necessary to sustain a relationship?
So that's a good question. No? I think for most couples, it is. It is also a big need for people. So it's part of the drives that we have that would fuel us as people, psychologically, biologically. So importanteng bagay siya. There's also instances na incompatibility when it comes to intimate activities, sexual activities can also lead to problems in a relationship. So I think it is a big deal. Of course, it still depends on the values, orientation that the people in the relationship would have. So for example, kung important yung abstinence sa sex sa isang couple, then that's something that's important to them. And I think they could still thrive in the relationship with that. It's just a matter of being on the same page as your partner, right? So, depende. But usually, for the most part, it is a big part of relationships.
Bilang panapos na po sa ating panayam sa araw na ito, paano po ba i-define ng isang Coach Alicia Serrano ang pag-ibig? What is love for you?
So love for me, it's an experience, it's an emotional experience na sobrang warm, sobrang positive, very strong towards a person or towards something. I don't think it's limited to romantic relationships at all. You can experience love with your family, with your friends, with your pet, with your other loved ones, with your profession, your field. So it's an experience people have. It's a deep interest, it's a deep passion, where you want to have that connection with someone. And usually when it's in the relationship context, it means being involved with someone in different ways and wanting to be there, wanting to keep that person in your life. So I think looking at my client experiences, personal experiences, that is how I would define love.
Thank you very much, Coach Alicia Serrano for this interview. Maraming salamat po sa pagpapaunlak sa aming imbitasyon for our Valentine's Special. Meron po ba kayong gustong pasalamatan, gusto pong i-promote sa ating mga manonood? Saan po ba nila pwedeng mahanap ang inyong mga social media pages, inyong mga serbisyo para kapag may kailangan din po sila sa relationships, in terms of mental health or any kind of needs na napasok po sa inyong ino-offer na services, pwede po nating sabihin sa ating mga manonood.
Okay, and thank you for this opportunity. It means a lot for me to talk about this topic with people. Lalo na kasi isa sa mga, I guess, mission, as a coach, ay mag-inform ng mga tao. I think that everyone deserves to have healthy relationships. So this is a good step, being able to talk about it during Valentine's Day. How you can find me, I have an Instagram page. So it's at ATB Serrano. That's also my handle over on TikTok. You can also find me on Facebook, Alicia Serrano. And I have a card website. You can just look it up sa Google, Alicia Serrano Coaching. So if there's any concern that you have related to life and relationships, I'd be more than happy to help out.
There you have it, Coach Alicia Serrano, maraming salamat po sa pagpapaunlak again sa aming munting panayam. Isang linggo na naman na puno ng kaalaman ng ating pinagsaluhan kasama ang ating relationship at life coach, Coach Alicia Serrano. Kahit pa 2 araw na nakalilipas matapos ang araw ng puso, hindi dapat doon nagtatapos ang pagmamahal natin sa ating mga partner at minamahal sa buhay. Pwede naman nating gawing araw-araw ang Valentine's Day kung gugustuhin at pagsisikapan natin. Love may be complex and it may be difficult and probably impossible to fully understand. Yet, all of us are still capable of loving. Isang munting paalala ngayong Love Month, you deserve to be loved as much as you do. Muli ako po si Arnold Herrera at ito ang Expert's Opinion. Thank you.